Good morning from sunny California. I am here, I've been here for about 2 weeks and we've done 3 tea times from California now. I am headed off to New Zealand tomorrow morning. So I'm just soaking up a little bit of this California weather before I go. And I thought it was tea time for Tuesday. What are we going to talk about today? I had a great conversation with a student this morning about the contagion of curiosity. And I thought that would be a good subject for today's tea time. Curiosity is the basis of everything I teach. When we train horses in freedom, they need to have strong curiosity. And I define curiosity as the use of the 5 senses in a way where one can be in harmony with somebody else. So curiosity is not a solo endeavor. It's not just for the self. Curiosity is experiencing the world in harmony with others. So the basis of everything I teach is about first and foremost, encouraging, supporting, and nurturing curiosity in our horses so that they want to work with us more instead of wanting to work against us. The use of their 5 senses is how they experience everything that's good in life. And we want more of that for them. If we link all of those good feelings that come through the 5 senses to experiences that are shared in harmony with another being, another horse, another human, some sort of a relationship, then you have a state from which you can learn new things, do new things, train new things. Most of my training is about training the basis for other training. And then a lot of my students will use other types of more dominant training or pressure-based training because it's faster. But regardless whether you go the super slow way like me or you go a faster way, the better your foundation is to build on, the better success you're going to have. So we want to think in terms of how strong is a horse's curiosity. And we measure that by their ability to change focus before they behave in an overwhelmed fashion. So an overwhelmed fashion is pushing into you, pulling away from you, being uncooperative. They're just saying there's something about this situation that isn't working for me. And that's a state where they are concerned, not curious. They've run out of curiosity strength. Here's the thing that's beautiful about this. Curiosity is contagious. If we can be curious about the relationship with the horse, they start to mirror it back to us and become curious about their relationship to us. I'll give you a practical example. So if I reach out and I stroke the horse's neck, I could stroke the horse's neck in a way where I already know the outcome. Or I could stroke the horse's neck in a state of curiosity where I feel the way their skin is under my fingers. I watch how much their ears move. I watch to see if their eyes move. I listen to the sound of their breath. That's all gathering information about, is this getting better or is this getting worse? If I can stroke their neck to help them feel better and then stop, I build a better and better association with stroking their neck. If I stroke their neck until they feel worse, they don't want me to stroke their neck anymore, or they will avoid it or push into it or run away from it. So when I come in with a state of curiosity, it allows me to adjust my behavior for the best outcome. I use my 5 senses to gather information so that I either adjust it this time and I stroke their neck in the best way this time, or I gather information for next time that I stroke their neck. If I stroke their neck better next time, they learn to trust me more. So that ability to gather information through our five senses with the goal to adjust our behavior so that it's more comfortable for our friends. This state of curiosity is contagious. The more we do it, the more our horses want to do it back to us. So let's just say your horse likes being really close. They step close to you and they put their shoulder against your shoulder while you're standing next to them. If you lean into them as they lean into you and they're curious, they know that they are making you feel better because you are participating in what's happening. If they're curious and they see you walk past them, walk around them, they go, oh, that was too much for my human. And they learn to adjust their behavior next time so that it's less overwhelming for the human next time. Curiosity is the way we gather enough information to adapt around each other. And the more curiosity you have, the more the other being will want to respond in kind. It doesn't necessarily happen instantly, but there is a sort of contagion about curiosity. It also is the thing that allows us to be patient. So when we get impatient, when we're frustrated, when we're bored, it's usually because we are either overwhelmed, we have too much information and we don't want more, or we don't know how to see more details. So an analogy I used this morning was that curiosity is like a magnifying glass or a microscope. When you look at something, you go, well, I already have all the information about this. But then you take out a microscope or a magnifying glass and you look at it and you go, oh, there's so many details here that I didn't know before. Can I use those details to behave better next time? Whether it's stroking your horse's neck, whether it's riding them, whether it's swimming in a river next to them, whatever behavior that you're doing with your horse, you want to show the horse that you are curious enough to gather more information to behave better in the future. They're going to do the same thing. If they can be curious about you, they're going to gather information about you that allows them to behave better in the future. When we have this foundation of curiosity between us and the horse, and we both want the other one to feel good in our company, then we can add whatever training we want on top of that. We can add whatever new experiences we want to have on top of that, because we have a partner that is constantly being curious, gathering evidence that helps them understand how to do things better tomorrow. If we can prove that to the horse will prove it back to us. And then we get a cooperative learning situation where the more we do, the more information we have to learn from, and the more we can adapt around what feels good to each other. Some people worry, what if I don't make the horse uncomfortable, Elsa? Will they ever learn? Will they ever grow? Yes, they will. If you're alive, you're learning and growing. That's just how it works. The problem is when you get impatient and you feel like they're not learning or growing fast enough. If you feel like they're not learning or growing fast enough, then you're going to need to push them farther out of their comfort zone. Then you're going to need to use a kind of pressure that lets them be a little bit uncomfortable to make the comfort zone grow faster. But I promise you, learning and growing is natural. It is part of their makeup. So you don't have to force it. It will happen. You only need to pressure more learning and more growing if you want it faster then it would naturally be available. And that's a choice. That's okay. Regardless, building a foundation of curiosity between you and the horse is a contagious thing, where the more curiosity you can show the horse and the evidence that you were curious, you gathered information, and then you did a better job because of that information you gathered, the more they will mirror it back to you. And they will be curious about you, what you like, what you don't like, what overwhelms you, what you look like when you're tired, what you look like when you have lots of energy. And they will gather all that information and work with you through whatever circumstance you're in. Hi, Julia. It's really good to see you. I'm glad you're here for tea time. I'm glad you could make it for Tea Time Live. So those are my thoughts for today. Continue to be curious. Also be patient with yourself when you can't be, when you're bored, when you're frustrated, when you don't want to gather any more information, when you feel like maybe there's not any more information to gather, you already gathered all the information. That's when you need rest, and rest is part of this. Same for the people as it is for the horses. But when we offer that curiosity, that gathering of information with a goal to become more cooperative, the horses will offer it back. I promise. I don't know when, the time issue is the most interesting part of freedom. Freedom means that they get to decide when they offer it back. And if we're in a hurry, we'll use more pressure. But if we're not in a hurry, it's really fun to just keep giving curiosity until they want to give it back. Teresa, I'm so glad that I get to see you again in May. That's great. I missed a comment here. Shelley says, hi, Elsa, how do I change a bad association with something to them being curious with it? I.e. with Danny is a bad association with the saddle blanket. Yeah. So any bad association they have with something is just them feeling like the sensory input was too much. So they see the saddle blanket and they just feel like their senses are going to be overwhelmed and they don't have enough curiosity strength to handle that much information. So there's a couple ways you can help them with that. One, you can work on building stronger curiosity with everything else. It's like a muscle. If you build stronger curiosity about everything else, the saddle pad eventually will feel less overwhelming. Two, you can think about it directly with a saddle blanket. Is a small towel as overwhelming for him as a saddle blanket? If a small towel is too overwhelming, how about a smaller piece of cloth? If a smaller piece of cloth is too overwhelming, maybe a glove or a hat. You know, how far down do we have to go before we get a good association? And the place that people get stuck is they think, well, my horse is just fine. Just fine is not good enough because just fine is not curiosity. They have to be willing to use their 5 senses around that object to build a good association. Just fine is where they ignore it and they pretend it isn't there. And that's okay, but we can't build to something better from just fine. You can only build to something better if you start from a foundation of curiosity. So that is my suggestion, Shelley. You, number one, keep building Dan's curiosity in lots of other ways, which I know you're doing. I've seen how far you guys have come. You are doing a beautiful job of this. Keep helping him exercise that muscle. And the saddle blanket will naturally get better. Working more directly, start trying to build good positive associations with parts of that problem. How small a blanket or a cloth or something do we need to work with to build positive associations and then build up to the saddle blanket? Thank you guys for joining me. Yes, Shelley, I'm glad that you asked the question. I'm sure you're not the only one with a question like that. So it's always good to have people chime in at tea time. Let's see if we've got any other comments before I sign off today. Mary says, interesting, as I'm trying to work out which horse to bring to work with you in 2 weeks. Oh, that's great that I get to see you in 2 weeks, Mary. Which horse do you bring? Well, first of all, if you could bring both of them, that's amazing. We'll only work with one, depending on the facilities and if that's okay. I often have students put 2 horses in the arena, even if they're going to work with one, because horses are herd creatures and that would be a lot more free and natural for them. If that's not an option, I would suggest you bring the one that feels like it has the best curiosity, because the stronger it is in the curiosity, the more we're going to be able to learn together with it. The weaker it is in its curiosity, the more we're just going to have to nurture and gently grow that aspect before we can build on it. Either is good. You can really bring any horse and we'll learn from it, but that's my advice. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to go spend the rest of the day with my family and finish my tea with them and enjoy this beautiful sunny California day. I will be meeting you guys next week from New Zealand, and we will do tea time from there. I'll try and keep it roughly the same time. That'll be early in the morning for me in New Zealand, but about this same time for the rest of you around the world. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.